Hi, Smita Ahluwalia here. Welcome to our 5th episode of Skin Deep, our podcast. I run my own skin clinic in London. I'm an educator. I've written some amazing courses, facial reflexology and acupressure, and at the moment I'm nearly finished my retail strategy course. I am a judge for the Professional Beauty Awards, spoken at lots of conferences, and really excited to be here.
I'm Haran Rasalingam. I'm psychotherapist and coach and mediator, all-round listener to problems generally. I run workshops on all sorts of issues, and probably quite topical today. I recently ran a workshop on race and ethnicity and culture, which is kind of connected to what we're going to talk about today.
Yes. Well, before we start the topic, please subscribe. Please write your comments or any questions that you may have. We'd love to hear from you. And also follow us. Follow me on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube. Thumbs up to us, please.
Absolutely. Like and subscribe. And also, if you have any topics or questions that you want us to talk about, stick it in the comments and we'll be glad to look at them and see what we can do.
So today we're talking about menopause, how it affects different cultures, really.
Yes, and I know you're quite an expert on this area. You've done a few talks on this, right?
Yes.
Menopause with regard to how it affects different people with different skin tones and so forth.
Yeah, so I do definitely, my talks are mainly on skin, but I just want to kind of dive in a bit deeper. You know, how it affects people of all different skin tones as well.
Absolutely. And I guess it's quite a big subject already. Menopause in itself is quite something for women to get their heads around, I imagine.
Yeah.
And then you have to, on top of that, think about, well, you have to factor in what your own skin tone is. So maybe tell us a little bit about what are the differences depending on your skin tone.
If we're looking at skin, there are differences because obviously if you've got a Caucasian skin, you may see the effects of menopause in terms of lines and wrinkles, in terms of skin dryness, the elasticity of the skin starts to deplete, those kind of things. Whereas when you see it in the skin of someone of colour, you might see more kind of pigmentation. The way the skin ages, the lack of estrogen is more like the skin will pigment. There'll be more of a grey tinge to the skin as well. That really does make a difference. And you notice when I say it's something called melasma, which is like this pigment, you know, like where there's a darker pigment around the eye area or around the lower part of the face. So you do see those kind of things. And so they have to be treated in a different way. And there's certain kind of treatments that you need to really be careful with because darker skin tones are that bit more sensitive because they can hyperpigment if you use the wrong treatment. It's just the way the DNA of the skin is. It's not that the skin is more vulnerable because it doesn't mean that it's more sensitive. Darker skin tones have thicker collagen, they age more slowly, but with pigmentation, they tend to get pigmented, and it's all to do with the melanin distribution.
Okay, so, and that's the key difference when your skin tone.
Yeah,
it basically comes down to melanin levels.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
And so some people, they're more likely to get keloid scarring in darker skin tones, and like I said, melasma. But so when you're treating a skin of colour, you do need to take that into consideration.
Yeah. Does that mean knowledge around the signs of menopause is not as good for people with darker skin tone? So a clinician may not be as aware?
I would say that there are courses out there for facialists to study skin of colour. There are even products that there's certain kind of ingredients that might be more effective for someone of skin of colour. And just the general thing like sun protection, you know, if they've got titanium oxide in it, it's going to make someone who's got a darker skin tone look a bit grey, a bit ashy, which you don't really want. That's really, really important. But so I'm really interested in that, but I'm also really interested in actually other factors that affect menopause, like social economic factors when we're looking at skin
So what do you
tones.
mean by the social economic factors?
When somebody is going through menopause, it feels like sometimes there are different rules for someone of a darker skin tone. You can go to a doctor And because generally people of colour, they may go through menopause a little bit earlier. So sometimes, like with Asians, South Asians tend to go through menopause at the age of like 45, 46.
Yeah.
Whereas Caucasians, it's at 51. So if they suddenly go to a doctor and say, well, I've got these hot flushes, I'm really getting quite emotional, I'm fighting with my family a lot, whatever, it might be, a doctor will probably say something like, you could be going through depression.
Yeah, they might misdiagnose it.
They misdiagnose. They may not consider.
Because they're too young, in quotes.
Exactly, to be going through it. So that is a really important factor for people. And if you think about like media, whenever they show a woman in menopause, it's normally a white woman, an older white woman.
Yes.
And that isn't, it's not how it is.
So that's the stereotype that people have in their minds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's a big one. I also heard something about maybe different cultures are more open about talking about menopause.
Yeah, definitely. When I think about South Asian culture, it's a bit of a taboo to talk about periods, to talk about menopause. You're not having a hot flush, you're having a fever.
Okay.
your fertility stopped when you're going through menopause. That's how they would put it. But actually, no, it's menopause. And so it's not discussed. And if it's not discussed and you can't be open in your family environment, there's going to be a lot of clashes. And it has to be taken seriously. But if you are going through it and you can't be taken seriously by your family, that's really hard going. And then there's also, like if you go to America, you have to pay for to see a doctor, right? If you don't have insurance. So are you going to, if you don't come from...
if you're not well off or comfortably off.
Comfortably off, you may think, I'll grin and bear it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of attitude. And that also happens with African cultures as well. Oh, well, I'm getting old, so I'm going to have these problems. Not, hold on a minute, this isn't right. I need to get this sorted out, which is what we see in the West, right?
Yes. Also, I suppose there's that taboo around the fact that it's a sign that you're aging and people don't really want to bring that out into the public. I'm past my sell-by date or something like that.
Yeah, and also if you do say, oh, sorry, I'm having a hot flush, or sorry, I'm going through menopause, it's very much like, oh, you're too young to be going through menopause. No.
Yeah, it can happen. It can happen younger.
And actually, very interestingly enough, like I said, so about 45, 46, when you are South Asian, this is a general, but they are
generally
statistics.
Speaking, the tendencies,
For black people, I would say it is about 49, so about 2 years earlier than Caucasians, where it's like starts about the age of 51. That's the average. So first of all, then you have to think about how long are you going through menopause, right? So generally speaking, people get that whole menopausal stage when you've stopped a period, when you've completely stopped a period, that can take up to, 3 years to completely stop. And that's when you're starting menopause. So women of African heritage, that can be a 10-year stint going through that menopause for 10 years. And South Asians, it's about 8 years. So it's about
different
8
lengths.
years. Yeah. So if you think about it, if you're going through menopause for 10 years, you have got 10 years of anxiety, 10 years of stress, aches and pains, hot flushes, mood swings.
The full thing.
For
and then also, decade.
But not just that, it's also you've got to be aware of all the biological problems like ovarian cancer. You've got breast cancer, osteoporosis. In South Asians, more diabetes type 2 or cardiovascular problems, because you've got 8 years for South Asians. So you've got
the window is bigger.
It's bigger to have more health problems.
And even more important then that a doctor, for example, or any clinician is aware of these things, that you're actually in that time window. Otherwise, you're going to be at risk.
Yeah. And then also HRT may be a taboo. If it's not an open conversation, you're never going to really understand menopause.
Yeah.
And I think it is all about education. And, if you're not in that environment, if you're basically running around trying to bring up kids, dealing with elderly parents, having a job, trying to put food on the table, where's the time for educating yourself? And thinking about yourself.
So, I mean, what could we say for any woman out there who's listening to this, who's maybe thinking, well, this applies to me, and they might need to educate their clinician or their doctor, what would you say to them?
Well, I would say that you need to kind of learn as much as possible by reading, going on the internet.
Yeah.
Think about your diet. Really think about your diet, because during menopause you do need more protein. You do need to cut out the sugars. Don't eat as many processed foods. Those kind of things you can really help yourself. Just if you don't want to go and get advice from a doctor, those are the 3 things that I would say. Stress levels are the biggest. How do you say to someone, chronic stress is going to impact on your menopause as well?
So the awareness is key,
really,
and they need to be able to make others aware as well.
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And actually doctors need to be more educated about dealing, not pushing people away, women. Everyone's going through menopause, no matter what skin colour you are, right? And the symptoms are going to be the same. It's just the length of symptoms and how early you start these symptoms. These factors really need to be taken into consideration. But I think the biggest thing I can say to anyone is that you need to educate yourself and be educated, and don't shy away. Make it more of an open conversation. I mean, I'm speaking at a conference called Pause Live, which is making it's not a taboo. We have to own it. This is something that naturally happens to women. Like women have babies, they also go through menopause, right?
Yes, because people talk about babies more.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. So that sounds like the key takeaway. People need to be advocates for themselves, learn about it themselves, and then make sure when they're getting help that they're informed as well.
Exactly. And another thing is in terms of skin, there is so much that you can do with menopause, because basically you're losing 1% of collagen per year from the age of 25. And when you go through menopause, you go through activated collagen loss. And that is for everybody. Every single body goes through most people do. Some people go through it earlier, some people go through it later. So we do have to make sure that we are looking after our skins as well, taking the supplements, which we'll talk about later, and eating healthily, using the right skincare to help with the loss of collagen and elastin.
Wow, this is fascinating. I didn't realize it was so complex. So
thank you very much, everybody. Really happy to have you here watching, and please subscribe. Please follow us. Please make any comments that you have. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you very much. This is Haran Rasalingam, psychotherapist and coach. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe.